Omega-3 fatty acids are one of the most pro-catabolic supplements that there are. So if someone is already stuck in this situation where they're way too catabolic already, or they're stuck in that catabolic state all the time and they're not moving into the anabolic state at night so that the body can rest, rebuild, and repair. If they're stuck in this state and they start taking omega-3 fatty acids, they're going to magnify that imbalance that's creating all these problems for them. And omega-3s are great at pushing a person to be more catabolic. We used to use them all the time with people that were dealing with an anabolic imbalance, which is the opposite imbalance. So if they were stuck in this anabolic state, which can create another wide variety of issues, we would use omega-3s to push them more catabolic, and it would very easily help them to balance out that issue. So if someone's stuck in a catabolic state, but they're taking this thing, if they're adding that to this situation that's already bad, isn't that throwing gas on the fire? Yeah, it's like throwing fishy smelling gas all over the fire at that. The worst example of this is where the medical world is telling all the type 2 diabetics that they need to be pounding omega-3 fatty acids. And there's new studies out now that show that this is really false and it's really not beneficial for diabetics at all, but that new information is going to take 20 or 30 years to catch up with mainstream, and meanwhile all these people are pounding omega-3 fatty acids. The problem for a type 2 diabetic is that it's been shown that omega-3 fatty acids can push a person more insulin resistant. This works really well. As a matter of fact, when we have hypoglycemic clients where their insulin is working too well and it's creating too big of a sugar crash because the insulin is processing the sugar too quickly, we use omega-3 fatty acids to push them more insulin resistant, to make it to where their insulin is not responding as well and not processing sugar so quickly, and it helps them slow down and process sugars less effectively, really, which helps them to balance out their blood sugar. So when someone's already insulin resistant, pushing them more insulin resistant is just trying to get them to sign up to be a type 2 diabetic. That can be a really big problem. This is also a huge problem for people dealing with cardiovascular issues who are being told to take a lot of omega-3 fatty acids as an anti-inflammatory. And it has been shown that these omega-3s do have anti-inflammatory properties associated with them. But the problem is that if you push yourself more insulin resistant, and most people dealing with cardiovascular issues are already leaning a little bit insulin resistant, and that's why they're dealing with so much inflammation from the high levels of insulin. So now they're going to take these omega-3s that push them more insulin resistant. Now their body's going to have to make even more insulin to process the amount of glucose that they're consuming. And now that high insulin is going to create even more inflammation. So they're using an anti-inflammatory in the short term to create more long-term inflammation.